We are standing on Battle Hill, and this was one of the 4 hills in the Battle of Brandywine. There was also Osborne Hill, Sandy Hill, and Birmingham Hill, and it was a strategic point. In some of the planning work we've done, we have actually used a military terrain analysis called COCOA, and that looks at what soldiers at the time would have seen in the terrain. This landscape and the other ones that I named are all preserved. So a military historian or a soldier, the Army War College actually uses this analysis, can come to this terrain and they can still see what a soldier would have seen. So this was a very strategic point. There were British cannons basically on this hill, British were on this hill, and then Sandy Hill is across the hollow, and that's where the Americans would have been strategically. So, and there's a hollow between called Sandy Hollow.
And then what happened here? Tell us about like what happened. You know, we're talking about true strategic points, but then what happened?
Right. So the Battle of Brandywine was a major battle of the Philadelphia campaign, and after the British, the Crown forces, did marches from Kennett Square in 2 lines. One went north, one went due east to Chadds Ford. The British distracted General Washington at Chadds Ford, while the rest of the British Army, made up of Hessians and Loyalists as well, so it's called the Crown Forces, went north and basically did a hook. And we call it the British left hook, just for a fun marketing purpose. And then did a hook, went up to the one hill I talked about, Osborne Hill, observed the territory, the terrain, while the troops rested for a little bit, and then came south and came down to this area. Birmingham Hill is right across the way. This is Battle Hill, and basically started having an armed conflict with the American forces. And this was, Chadds Ford was one of the major battles. This was one of the major battles, and then there was a 3rd battle called the Rear Guard out of the Battle of Brandywine. There were 3 battle areas. So this is one that a lot of people talk about, though. So Birmingham Hill is named in first-hand accounts. Sandy Hill is named in first-hand accounts, so that's part of the reason. So very significant area.
Great. Why is it important, do you think, to preserve these areas?
I think people, to understand history, it's one thing to read it in a book, but when you can come to the authentic landscape, particularly one that has the original terrain and some of the original historic buildings from the 18th century, you can actually see buildings and terrain that witnessed what was happening at the time. And again, this was one of the major battles for the British capturing Philadelphia. The British wanted to capture Philadelphia because that was their nation's capital. And so not only symbolically would that be fantastic for them to do, but they were actually hoping to take the capital. So this is a significant portion of the Americans, not being a trained force yet, standing up to the well-trained Crown forces, the well-trained British Army, and rallying to fight again after this battle.
Nice job. Good done. Yeah.